as a college professor in a room full of students. Hartman.
Okay, class, as you know, this will be my last day teaching modern United States history, as I've been fired for my lack of diversity, and rightly so, as I am a cis white male.
The class cheers. Hartman.
Absolutely, thank you. And of course, I couldn't be more happy to tell you that your new history professor, starting tomorrow, will be Miss Berkeley Bridges, a lesbian African-American female. Though be sure to keep in mind that he uses the pronouns he, his.
Cuts to Denitra Vance standing in the back of the room. The students cheer. Hartman.
But before I go, I wanted to have an historical artifact come in and give you a little talk. Now, I'm giving you a trigger warning. Besides being a cis white male, this man speaks in a way that's, well, not okay.
Cuts to Erica Watson raising her hand. Hartman.
Yes, Miss Jackson.
Watson. That's not okay. Hartman.
No, I know. Well, I should say, being a cis white male, I don't truly know, as I am not capable of knowing due to my privilege, but I know that you, a 19-year-old African-American female college student, I'm sorry, your sexual orientation again, Miss Jackson?
Watson. Queer.
Hartman. That's right. Now, I know I'm incapable of knowing it's not okay, but I know that you, a 19-year-old queer African-American female college student, of course, does know it's not okay.
The class cheers. Hartman.
Unfortunately, in the not-too-distant past, people talked in a way that was not okay. And I think it will behoove you in your future endeavors of snuffing these types of people out to hear them speak the way they speak firsthand. If things get too not okay, please be advised that the teacher's lounge down the hall will be a designated safe space.
Bernie Mac raises his hand. Hartman.
Yes, Mr. Donald.
Mac.
This motherfucking sad excuse for a school was built primarily by cis white males, motherfucker. You expect me to believe a room built by a bunch of chalky clockies is a safe space? Why don't you have any rooms in the building built in the 1920s that were built by people of color and members of the LGBTQ community?
The crowd starts to get unruly and throws up balls of paper and other objects at Hartman. Hartman.
Thanks for reminding me, Mr. Donald. I apologize, as my privilege often leads me to saying such insensitive and uninclusive things.
Mac.
That's right, white boy, bitch.
Hartman.
I deserve that. So I should mention that outside on the quad, we were able to find some bisexual Hispanics who have set up an inclusive safe space tent.
Shows Paul Mooney, who says,
"Are you guaranteeing me, you evil white honky, that no cis white males will be allowed anywhere near that tent?"
Hartman.
Yes, Mr. Sonny, we have some multiracial trans men with a pile of bricks just outside the tent, ready to protest to death any cis white males who come anywhere near the safe space tent.
Shows Richard Pryor, who says,
"Mr. White Devil, sir, I'm concerned they're merely throwing bricks at any cis white males who come anywhere near the inclusive safe space tent does not accurately make up for the past injustices that have been done to communities of people of color and the LGBTQ community. I suggest that any cis white males that come within 20 yards of the inclusive safe space tent be lynched from a nearby tree."
The students cheer wildly. Shows Patrice O'Neill, who says,
"You racist professor motherfucker, that's why you're the problem. You think just throwing bricks at cis white males who come within 20 yards of the inclusive safe space tent is okay, when we could instead be lynching them. That's not okay, sir."
The students begin to chant.
"That's not okay. That's not okay."
Shows Louis Anderson as a trans woman who says,
"How are you going to reparate our sensibilities for having committed the atrocity of merely suggesting throwing bricks at cis white males as opposed to lynching them from a tree?"
Hartman.
Well, as a cis white male, I don't think I should be answering any questions, as any answer I'd provide would be compromised by my privilege. What do you suggest would be an adequate reparation for my lack of sensitivity?
Shows Chris Farley as a homosexual who says, I say we should get to lynch you from the tree, you non-homo. The crowd cheers enthusiastically. Hartman.
That sounds fair. It obviously was insensitive of me to not suggest lynching, as opposed to merely throwing bricks at any cis-white males who come within 20 yards of the Hispanic bisexuals' safe space tent.
Shows Chief Blackhawk who says,
Why the hell are you calling it a tent, you evil land-grabbing cis-white male? It should be referred to as a teepee.
The students begin cheering at a fever pitch. A chair nailed to the floor is ripped out by Michael Clark Duncan and thrown at Hartman. Hartman.
You're absolutely right, Chief African-American Hawk. The safe space is not located in a term forged by cis-white males, the devilish term tent, but instead a teepee.
Shows Charlie Murphy who says,
Yo, I don't want any trannies anywhere near the safe space teepee, G.
Hartman.
Oh, God. I'm really in a bind now. I don't know how to reparate myself out of that conundrum. Thankfully, I'll be lynched soon enough. Without further ado, please welcome the speaker, Mr. White.
Shows Norm MacDonald walking into the room wearing blackface and draped in a pride flag. MacDonald.
All right, homos. Who's ready to eat some watermelons? And live from Tom's phone, we're not alive. It's Saturday Night Live, starring an ever-evolving cast that is unionized and refuses to allow their names to be mentioned until their demands are met. Musical guest, Dean Martin, and your host, Jerry Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Lewis.
Applause, applause, applause. No one comes out on stage. Kevin Rooney comes out. Rooney.
Hello, folks. No, I'm not Jerry Lewis. Unfortunately, he's a little bit nervous to come out here right now, so we're working on it.
Cuts to backstage in Lewis's dressing room, where Lewis is curled up in a ball on a chair, with Lenny Von Dolan standing by the chair. Von Dolan.
Come on, Mr. Lewis. The monologue has already started.
Lewis. I can't go out there, Lenny. I'm so nervous. I never perform while dead. Van Dolan.
Well, there's a beautiful blonde who just died in the front row.
Lewis gets out of the chair and runs onto the stage. Rooney.
Well, hello there, Mr.
Lewis. Okay, Mac. Glad you had your fun. My turn now. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. You look so lovely. Shows Ivana Trump in the audience. Lewis. Especially you, princess. I'm in room 238 at the Overlook. So I'm trying some new impressions. The first one is a student at a school shooting. Lewis falls to the floor. Lewis gets up. And here's another one. It's what a woman should do in a bedroom when a man enters. Lewis falls to the floor. Lewis gets up. And finally, one more I wanted to share with you is President Joe Biden riding a bike. Lewis falls to the floor. Lewis gets up. George Carlin and Richard Pryor come out, wheeling out a throne. Lewis. Well, look who it is, everybody. Carlin. We got your throne, Jerry. Pryor.
Because we truly believe that you're the king of comedy.
Carlin. Seeing you perform motivated me to become a comedian. Pryor.
Seeing Sailor Beware changed my life. You're a comedic god.
Philip Seymour Hoffman as Tom Murphy comes out and says, Georgie Ritchie, a throne? For me? I don't know what to say, okay, other than it's about time. Carlin. The throne's not for you, suit. Pryor.
It's for Jerry Lewis, the true king of comedy, and a friend of the black community.
Lewis. That's what all the brothers tell me. Lewis sits in the throne. Lewis. I'll keep the sea warm for a while. I just ate some beans. But then after a while, I think you two should split it. Hoffman. I think you meant to say the three of us should split it. Lewis. Who is this guy again? Carlin. Some jerk off with an active imagination. Nothing to worry about. Lewis. Folks, we have a great show tonight. Dean Martin is here. That's right. Dean Martin has returned to me. We'll be right back.